Picture this. New Year's Day, Las Vegas Strip. Lights, excitement. That whole fresh start vibe.
Right.
Then boom, an explosion rocks the Trump International Hotel. Not exactly this celebration anyone had in mind, huh?
It was chaos. Total chaos. And yeah, like with most things like this, everyone jumps to terrorism, right?
Makes sense, right. But the story, well, this is where it gets really interesting.
Yeah.
This wasn't some shadowy figure. We're talking decorated war hero Matthew Livelsberger.
Livelsberger.
Green Beret, 2 Bronze Stars. The guy was a walking, talking metal display case. This wasn't an attack on America. It was more like, well, an attack for America. I mean, at least that's what he thought. How do you even start to unpack that?
I think we got to start with the man himself, who was Matthew Livelsberger. From the outside, you see success. Decorated soldier, served in some of the hottest zones out there, Afghanistan, Ukraine. He even worked with some cutting-edge military tech. Comes home, graduates summa cum laude from Norwich University. Strategic studies. I mean, you look at this guy, you think, he's got it all figured out.
Yeah, you'd think, what could possibly go wrong, right?
Exactly. And that's where this whole deep dive gets interesting. Because behind this, this facade of success, Livelsberger was fighting a totally different battle, a silent one. Back in 2019, during a deployment, he suffers a traumatic brain injury, TBI. And this is where understanding the impact of these hidden wounds is so crucial,
For those of us who might not be super familiar with TBI, could you maybe break it down a bit?
Sure. Basically, the TBI can completely mess with your brain function. Everything from memory and focus to, your emotions, even your impulse control. In Livelsberger's case, well, the TBI plus all the insane stress of those combat deployments, it all kind of snowballed into PTSD and severe depression.
So a perfect storm of invisible injuries, right?
Exactly. And as his mental health went downhill, so did his personal life. Marriage fell apart. Friends started hearing this despair, this disillusionment. He really felt like America, the country he put his life on the line for, was losing its way.
So this profound disconnect between the ideals he fought for and, well, the reality he saw playing out.
Yeah, exactly. And that fueled everything, the rage, the need to be heard. This wasn't just about him. He felt like he had to wake the nation up.
And then we get to the explosion itself. He rents a Tesla Cybertruck.
Yeah.
The ultimate symbol of, futuristic innovation, packs it with explosives and detonates it right outside the Trump International Hotel. A building that, let's be real, it represents a very particular vision of America. This wasn't just an explosion, this was a statement. What was he trying to say with that target?
Now, that's where things get complicated. The symbolism is undeniable. It's almost like he's trying to force this clash, the future slamming into the past. Innovation versus the system he saw is totally broken.
And then there's the whole New Orleans thing. Same day, New Year's Day, vehicle ramming attack, another military service member, 2 seemingly totally unrelated attacks, both with military ties, all on the same day?
Yep.
Coincidence? Or is there something more to it?
Yeah. Officially, investigators say there's no direct link between the two guys. No evidence of working together, no shared ideology or anything like that. But, I can see how a coincidence like that, it really gets the conspiracy theories going.
People love connecting those dots.
Yes.
Right. Searching for a deeper meaning.
Exactly. In a world where it's like information overload 24/7 and anything is kind of shaky. Events like this, it's easy to see how people start looking for alternative explanations. What do you think? Could it really be just a coincidence? Or are we missing something here?
I gotta admit, that question keeps coming back to me too. This feeling that there's more to it, more to the story than we're seeing right now. But before we go too far down that conspiracy rabbit hole, we need to understand Livelsberger's headspace. What led him to this point? And what can we learn from this whole thing about what veterans go through when they come back home?
Yeah, we'll get into all that right after this. Stick with us.
We were talking about Matthew Livelsberger before the break. The decorated Green Beret. The Tesla Cybertruck explosion in Vegas. Trying to figure out what could push someone like him to something so destructive.
And we can't forget that New Orleans thing. Another attack, same day. Another military guy. Just adds another layer to an already complicated situation.
Absolutely. It's one of those details that makes you want to dive headfirst into those conspiracy theories,
Oh, yeah.
But before we do that, we got to get a better sense of Livelsberger's state of mind.
Okay.
Like in those days leading up to it all.
You mentioned his writing before, notes, journals, stuff like that. Investigators got this off his phone, right? What do those tell us?
Oh, they were actually pretty revealing. You see this guy wrestling with, serious disillusionment, talking about America going off track, this culture of complacency and distraction.
So not just personal stuff, this was bigger, about how he saw the whole country. Exactly. And that's what makes this so interesting, right? This isn't just some random crime. This is like a philosophical meltdown.
Right.
He was convinced that he had to do something drastic, something to wake people up to what he saw as, well, the truth.
He used that phrase a lot, didn't he? Wake-up call.
Yeah.
What did he mean by that?
He felt like nothing else worked. Writing to politicians, protests, all that, just falling on deaf ears. He had to do something big, something to shatter that complacency.
So he saw this as like a twisted form of patriotism, right?
Yeah, you could say that. He saw it as a sacrifice, even, for the greater good. It's important to see that side of it, even if we don't agree with how he went about it.
But there were innocent people hurt.
Sit there.
Right. 7 people caught in the blast. How do you reconcile that with this whole I don't want to hurt anyone thing?
That's the thing about violence. It's unpredictable. You can't control the ripple effect.
No matter how much you try, right?
Exactly. It's an important point. We can try to understand why he did it, but it doesn't make it okay. There were real consequences.
Real people impacted by this. Yeah. So it's complicated. Decorated soldier. Totally broken down. Fueled by these huge ideas. And in the end, it leads to people getting hurt. What now? How do we even process something like this?
I don't think there are any easy answers. This wasn't just one guy losing it. It was personal struggles, societal pressures, and a whole worldview crashing together.
And it seems like those pressures, especially the ones veterans deal with, played a big part in all this. We talked about better mental health care. But what else can we do for veterans coming home? What can we do to help them transition?
That's the million-dollar question.
Yeah.
I think understanding those hidden wounds is huge. PTSD, TBI, these aren't just words. They're real. And they can have devastating effects.
Effects that ripple outward, right? It's not just the veterans themselves.
No, it's not. It's about creating a society that's there for them when they come back. Mental health resources, job training, housing, all of that is critical.
And maybe if we do that, if we create that support system, maybe we can prevent something like this from happening again.
I think we got to hold on to that hope, right?
It's a heavy thought, one that I hope sticks with our listeners. Now, we've been tiptoeing around this whole conspiracy thing.
Yeah.
Is there a chance there's more to this than we know? Let's explore that.
Okay.
When we come back for the final part of this deep dive, back again for the final part of our deep dive.
We've been trying to make sense of this whole Las Vegas Cybertruck explosion, looking at the life of Matthew Livelsberger, trying to, understand what led him to that point.
Yeah, some tough questions for sure. What makes a war hero snap like that? What does it say about how we treat our veterans when they come home?
And then there's the big one, right? The one that's been hanging over us this whole time.
Right.
Is there something more to this story than we know?
Yeah, exactly.
We've touched on those conspiracy theories floating around.
Yeah, we've been kind of dancing around them, haven't we? The whole New Orleans thing. Another attack, same day, another military connection. It's hard not to wonder if there's something bigger going on. It's like ripped from the headlines, right? Secret military groups, government cover-ups, the whole 9 yards. It's easy to get drawn into those stories.
The internet loves that stuff. It's a breeding ground for these theories, right?
Yeah.
You've got everything from claims of, mass military unrest, secret societies within the ranks, to ideas that Livelsberger was, some kind of puppet for someone else.
I even saw some pretty out there stuff saying it was all staged. Like, to make Tesla and the Cybertruck look bad.
Yeah, that one's a bit much, I think. But it shows you how quickly things can get twisted, How these events can morph into stories that have nothing to do with reality.
So how do we cut through all that noise? How do we figure out what's real and what's not with these conspiracy theories?
Evidence is key, right? Look for sources. Are they credible? Are there any actual facts backing up these wild claims? Usually these theories are built on, speculation and suspicion, a whole lot of distrust in the official story.
And in Livelsberger's case, well, the investigators have been pretty thorough. His past, his contacts, everything online. And so far, nothing solid to suggest he was part of some bigger plan or being controlled by anyone.
Right. The official line is still that this was a troubled guy, pushed to the edge by his own struggles and a pretty intense belief system.
But even if that's true, that New Orleans thing is still there, right? 2 attacks, same day. Is it really possible that's just a coincidence? It's a lot to swallow.
Yeah, it's a good question. I think it shows how much we crave order, how we want to connect the dots and create these narratives that help us make sense of things. But sometimes even the craziest events don't have a simple explanation.
Sometimes it's just, messy. Life is messy.
It is. It really is.
I guess it reminds us that real life can be a lot more complicated, a lot more tragic than anything we could dream up.
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest things we can take away from all this. This wasn't just a news story. This was a human tragedy, and it touches on so many things.
So where do we go from here? What does this all mean in the long run? What will Livelsberger's legacy be?
It's hard to say, right? It's still so fresh. Some people will see him as a villain, a terrorist who hurt innocent people. Others might see him as a victim, someone who was failed by the system, someone struggling with his own demons.
Maybe his story will be that wake-up call he wanted. A call to take care of our veterans, to really see the wounds they carry, the ones you can't see. A call to build a society that actually supports them when they come home.
That's what we have to hope for, right? If we can learn from this, if we can use it to make things better, maybe something good can come out of something so awful.
It's a good note to end on, I think. Even in the darkest times, there's always hope. Hope for healing, for understanding, for a better future.
And remember, there's always more to learn, more perspectives to think about. Keep digging, keep asking questions, keep the conversation going.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. We hope it's given you something to think about, something to talk about, something to carry with you as you figure out this crazy world we live in.
Please like, comment, and subscribe to Pask Fen Podcast. It really helps this channel.